Welcome to another episode of Orange Pill with Napoleon Hill. As we wrap up the final days of December 2025, Bitcoin continues to navigate a landscape of volatility, innovation, and growing institutional interest. This week, the price has hovered around $87,000, down about 4% year to date, amid a broader market pullback. Crypto stocks have slipped, and geopolitical tensions have driven investors toward traditional safe havens like gold, which hit new highs up 70% this year. Yet, beneath the surface, experts from our core voices, Lynn Alden, Jeff Booth, Michael Saylor, Saifedean Ammous, and the podcasts What Bitcoin Did, Bitcoin Collective, and The Bitcoin Way paint a picture of enduring strength and opportunity. Let's dive into the most relevant discussions and news from their latest contributions, focusing on macro trends, adoption challenges, technological resilience, and the path ahead. Starting with the macroeconomic backdrop, Lynn Alden has been particularly vocal this month. In her December 2025 newsletter titled The So-Called Debasement Trade, she explores how years of high inflation have eroded traditional assets like bonds, while gold has tripled in value and Bitcoin has surged tenfold since the early 2020s. Alden points out that the Federal Reserve's quiet halt to quantitative tightening on December 1st marks a pivotal shift toward renewed liquidity. This, she argues, could fuel Bitcoin's next leg up, as it positions the asset as a premier hedge against currency debasement. In a Kitco interview on December 5th, Alden warned that this pivot isn't just about easing rates, it's a response to fiscal dominance, where government spending outpaces monetary restraint. She dismisses fears of a major Bitcoin crash, noting that the market hasn't reached euphoric levels yet. Instead, she sees the current stagnation as a consolidation phase, with Bitcoin's ratio to gold poised to climb as liquidity returns. Alden also reiterated her stance in why most cryptocurrencies won't accrue value, emphasizing that while she's bullish on Bitcoin's scarcity and network effects, other cryptos lack the fundamentals to endure. At the Bitcoin 2025 conference, she delivered a data-packed presentation declaring, "Nothing stops this train," highlighting Bitcoin's unyielding trajectory amid economic turbulence. Echoing Alden's macro optimism, Jeff Booth has focused on Bitcoin's role in a deflationary future driven by technology. In his recent appearance on the Bitcoin Matrix podcast titled, "I'm Convinced Now Bitcoin Will Never Fail," Booth reviews 2025 as a year of validation for Bitcoin's protocol. He describes it as a bridge to abundance, where broken fiat systems distort incentives, but Bitcoin aligns productivity with prosperity for all. Booth points to gold's surge as a signal of monetary debasement, predicting Bitcoin will follow with explosive growth. He forecasts $1 million per Bitcoin by 2032 based on power law models, and warns of a potential currency reset around 2028. In the BTC Sessions Christmas special on December 17th, alongside other Bitcoiners, Booth reflected on 2025's highlights: the maturation of ETFs, Lightning Network's record capacity, and institutional adoption amid volatility. Looking to 2026, he anticipates regulatory clarity and broader integration of Bitcoin into everyday finance. Booth also appeared in "The War on Bitcoin Has Entered Its Most Dangerous Phase," discussing threats like quantum computing and regulatory overreach, but affirming Bitcoin's anti-fragility. In The Final Fourth Turning, he ties Bitcoin to broader societal shifts, arguing it's essential for navigating economic resets without elite capture. Michael Saylor, ever the Bitcoin evangelist, has been active with updates from Strategy Incorporated. This week, he announced that the company increased its USD reserves by $748 million, now holding $2.19 billion, alongside 671,268 Bitcoin. In posts like Only Bitcoin and Back to Orange, Saylor reinforces his mantra of Bitcoin as the ultimate asset. He addressed market maturity in a keynote, admitting a big mistake in expecting immediate price spikes from large purchases, but viewing it as a sign of Bitcoin's evolution from speculative frenzy to stable institutional bedrock. Saylor envisions Strategy as a capital markets platform, digital money built on Bitcoin, transcending mere exposure. On quantum threats, in The Bitcoin Quantum Leap, he argues that quantum computing won't break Bitcoin, it will strengthen it. Network upgrades will migrate active coins to secure protocols, freezing lost ones, and effectively reducing supply while boosting security. Saylor's interviews, such as with David Gokhstein, cover trading dynamics, AI integration, and global adoption, predicting $1 million at 5% global ownership and $10 million at 7.5%. Amid the week's dips, posts like Ride the Bear and Bears Can't See Orange remind holders to persist, emphasizing Bitcoin's long-term superiority. Saifedean Ammous brings a critical lens to Fiat's flaws, linking them to Bitcoin's necessity. In his latest podcast episode with economist Juan Ramon Rallo on December 23rd, they discuss principles of economics, exploring how fiat fuels conflict and inequality, while Bitcoin offers a path to peace by enforcing sound money. Ammous warns that Bitcoin adoption won't come from hype but necessity. It will be adopted like gunpowder. If you don't own it, you'll be conquered. He highlights Africa's potential, where Bitcoin bypasses corrupt systems for true sovereignty. Ammous also critiques housing affordability in posts drawing from the Fiat standard, noting how Fiat's devaluation turns homes into speculative assets, pricing out the young despite falling construction costs. He promotes unconditional advice: buy Bitcoin, educate yourself, and spread the word. In responses to global events, Ammous calls out Fiat's role in intergenerational rivalry and endless wars, positioning Bitcoin as the antidote. Turning to the podcasts for grounded discussions. From Bitcoin Collective's recent posts and panels, a key theme is UK adoption challenges. Their newsletter, Bitcoin in a Nutshell, reports Bitcoin ownership dropping from 12% to 8% in 2025 per FCA data, attributing it to scams, volatility, and the cost of living crisis. However, they clarify that Bitcoin itself isn't the culprit. Intermediaries and crypto schemes are. A panel with Martin Kuchars, Sam BTC, Alan Smith, and Joe Nakamoto stresses education to distinguish Bitcoin from crypto noise. They highlight comedian Jimmy Carr's suggestion to mine Bitcoin, with UK's wasted energy, over £1 billion in curtailment, potentially funding a sovereign wealth fund. Other news includes President Trump's consideration of pardoning Samurai Wallet's Kian Rodriguez, quantum debates splitting the community, China's latest mining ban, and Lightning Network hitting record capacity. The Collective's 2025 Wrapped recaps the year, Bitcoin becoming normal, with 24,113 merchants accepting it and 2,000 added recently. The Bitcoin Way podcast, hosted by Michael Jordan, emphasizes self-custody amid 2025's pitfalls. In their year-end video, We Are Bitcoin, they recount Treasury firms' turmoil, margin calls on borrowers, paper Bitcoin proliferation, and exchange hacks, reinforcing Bitcoin in self-custody only, Discussions touch on network effects securing Bitcoin over privacy coins like ZEC, which they see trending to zero against BTC. Jordan also critiques historical narratives, like Lincoln's tyranny, tying it to centralized power's dangers, paralleling Fiat's issues. The podcast urges owning keys for empowerment, predicting L2 solutions for privacy and scalability. What Bitcoin did, though light on new episodes this week, echoed similar sentiments in recent recaps. An episode with David Dredge on "The Global Financial System is Structurally Broken" highlights liquidity infusions as Bitcoin's catalyst. Jeff Ross's appearance signals an inflection point, with weakness setting up gains. They predict $150,000, $200,000 in 2026, driven by debasement, JP Morgan trades, and Fed expansions, leading to reform. As we synthesize these insights, a clear narrative emerges. 2025 tested Bitcoin's mettle, from price stagnation to regulatory hurdles, but it solidified its foundation. Liquidity pivots, quantum hardening, and self-custody adoption point to a robust 2026. Experts agree. Focus on Bitcoin's purity, avoid crypto distractions, and hold through volatility. To close, a brief insight from Napoleon Hill. Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. In Bitcoin's world, this means holding with conviction, educating relentlessly, and building amid uncertainty. Until next time, stay sovereign.